everyone, welcome to this Tianjin University Ambassador Talks. My name is Timothy and I am an international student ambassador of Tianjin University. Of course, in this special episode, I want to present to you about Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarship in Tianjin University. And of course, everyone, I am here with our special guest, also an international student ambassador of Tianjin University. Please welcome doctoral student Hadiatullah. Hello, Kak Hadi.
Hello.
How do you do? How do you do in this PhD study life?
Just fine. Maybe I will share about my story about my PhD life. I'm thinking in the middle of the presentation, so maybe we will have like Q&A, and then I will share what is my life changing after PhD.
Of course,
especially in the current condition.
Yes. Of course, Kadi, for the audience today who hasn't know much of you yet, would you please give us your brief introduction about yourself?
Okay, all right. So I want to share my screen here.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so today in today's presentation here, I would like to share about my experience, especially studying in China, but for sure, especially my experience how I apply for scholarship. Especially in this afternoon, we are going to talk about the Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarships. That's this scholarship provided by Tianjin University. So what are the specific requirements, what are the tips, and what are all the detail of the materials? So in today's presentation, for sure, I will share for you all and how you prepare that in the good fashion and in the good manner. So before I start, for all the materials for today's presentation, especially when we are talking about the Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarship, so maybe we can call this scholarship as PFS. So I would like to introduce myself, who am I? So I am here, my name is Hadiatullah, but everyone here can call me Hadi. So currently, I'm PhD students. And I obtained my bachelor degree in biology in BRAWIJAYA University in 2016. And then after I obtained my degree in BRAWIJAYA University, I continue my study in Tianjin University of Science and Technology. During my master degree, actually, I got a China Scholarship Council. So at the same time, actually, I also know what is the difference. So later, I'm thinking in the sharing sections, I also want to try to share what is the difference between PFS and CSC. So I'm thinking I should tell that. So to make all the audience, all the listener know about that. So and currently, after I obtained my degree for my master degree 2020, and then I continue my study. I got an offer from Tianjin University in School of Pharmaceutical Science, especially in major in biochemistry. That during this study, I got offer for Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarship. So this is a kind of the mappings of my study. That this is a kind of the background of my study. That's actually I fully study in Indonesia, and then I'm moving to China, but also have another experience in several Asian countries like in Singapore, Malaysia, and South Korea, especially for participating in some summer course or some competition. So I'm thinking that's only a kind of the very, very brief introductions about myself. Thank you.
Yes, that's great, Hadi. And of course, we are right now curious about your process of your application for the PFS scholarship, especially because we know that the PFS scholarship is exclusively for PhD in Tianjin University. And of course, would you explain the information of the scholarship?
Okay, all right. Yes. So the first, I should justify your statements that Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarship or PFS is the scholarship only provided for PhD student. So I mean, not for master and not for bachelors. So what is the requirements? What is the detailed materials of this scholarship? So we are going to go especially if you are interested for this kind of the scholarship. So the first things, I think it will be easier for all the candidates, all the students who already obtains the master degree, so they can go to the Google, and then after they arrive here, so you just click, so you just types Peiyang Future Scholarship.
Yes.
And then after that, so in the first informations in the browser, you will directly find out this scholarship information. So you just open link in the new tabs, and let's go here. So herein you will find what kind of the scholarships of the Peiyang Future Scholarship. So the first things that I would tell is that these applications commonly opens between January until June, and I mean every year. And this scholarship, sorry, I need to tell all the listeners that this scholarship, new scholarships that provided by Tianjin University since 2020. So I'm the first batch of the Peiyang Futures for this scholarship. So when we are talking about this scholarship just running for 2 years, and we still counting to this year. So means that it's not like it's kind of the new scholarship. So the times of the application or the application schedule is just like, it's quite a long time. So actually we'll have like a long preparation on it. So we can like having a good preparation on it. So as observe in this informations that these applications was set up during a half year. So it's from January until June 2020 in every year. But somehow that's the application schedule is just like starting from November, sometime from November until June also. So it's the informations just like you can discipline, or you can have a look on the website, is just like from November until June. I'm thinking they will have like an update information about this scholarship schedule.
Yes.
So the next is just like what I say, just like what Timothy says, that this scholarship is exclusively only for PhD candidate, only the student who apply for PhDs, not for bachelor and not for master. And as we know that because this scholarship provided by Tianjin University, so that the duration of the study for PhD normally will span around 4 years. So it's in China, if you want to compare in China, somehow the PhD durations of the study somehow only 3 years. That's normal, or 4 years, that was normal. But for Tianjin University, for this scholarship, only provided for 4 years, for 4 years duration, for 4 years, durations of the study. So this scholarship is a kind of the full scholarships. So what you will get, for example, you get accepted for these scholarships. So the scholarship provide, first is tuition fee, and then second is living allowance, and the third is the living stipends, and the last one is the second is living allowance, and the third is the accommodations on campus. So actually the standard of the scholarships between PFS and CSC is no much different. So CSC also cover the tuition fee, which is the similars for PFS, that they also cover the whole tuition fee. Mostly in Tianjin University, that the tuition fee is for PhD student is around this. Number is about 38,000 RMB, 38,000 RMB, or San Wan Pa in Chinese. So So it's similar with the CSC. For the tuition fee, PFS and CSC is same. Second, for the living allowance also for the PFS is around 3,500, which is this also similar with CSC. For PhD, if you get this, if you get the CSC, for PhD students, they also will get 3,500 RMB, San Chen Wu. And then the last one is accommodation on campus. CSC also providing the accommodation covered. So this also similar with the CSC. So overall, the PFS and CSC is the same. When we are talking about the scholarship standard, they are similar. So what is the difference? The difference only once. CSC also provided the health insurance, which is the health insurance is about 800 every month. But for PFS, we don't get this kind of the health insurance. So I'm thinking that. But does the health insurance much affected for our living in China? To my experience, health insurance was not too much affected. So I'm thinking, even for example, I got the scholarship for CSC in my master study, but actually during 3 years I studied for master, I didn't use my health insurance. So so I'm thinking, I means that if you are healthy, I'm thinking it will not much affect it. Only in some cases, an emergency. Emergency, I'm thinking we need the health insurance, especially when we are living in another countries, not in our home countries.
I think it is all right if we do not actually being covered by the health insurance by the scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To my experience, since you are healthy, I mean, since you can keep your health, I'm thinking that's also fine. So to my experience, 3 years I didn't use that health insurance actually during my study. So I'm thinking, Timothy, I mean that in the middle of my presentation, if you already pick out some questions, so you can give the introductions and then we can start the conversations.
Yeah, of course. I think one thing that we curious is about the annual review, because when we already awarded with a scholarship, we have to take on responsibility of this annual evaluation. So in your experience that you have been awarded for over 1 year, how is the annual review process that is conducted?
I think for information and as to my knowledge that the review process, I mean after you get award, after you are selected as awardee of these scholarships, so the review process just held around every year one time, specifically that was on the second semester, in the middle of the second semester, which is the review time is like quite similar with all kind of the scholarships that provided by Tianjin University,
Yes.
Tianjin government and the Chinese government. So the review process, I'm thinking is, to me, it's normal. Just like we need to fill kind of the forms. So there's a kind of the forms that we need to fill about my experience, what is related with our progress during the study. So we can fill that on that forms. And then lastly, it should be approved and signed by our supervisor. So
after the evaluation, then we can be decided whether we can continue the coverage, right, for the next year.
Yeah, so it means that after we complete the evaluation, after we complete the filling all the forms and including the academic transcripts, and then we collect it to the international education school, and then after that, I think after 1 month after that, we will get the announcements either we still selected or we still awarded for this scholarship or not.
Yes, of course. Let's discuss, Kadi, about the eligibility. Yeah. How is the condition
Okay.
for
After we are talking about the evaluations of this scholarship, so that's the process after we get accepted. So if we have intentions to apply for this scholarship, so of course we should know what is the materials, what is the mandatory things that we should need to know and we should prepare. So the first ones, this scholarship must be non-Chinese citizens with a valid passport. Of course, that this scholarship is only for international students, not for the Chinese citizen. I mean, someone who can apply for it is all international students, all nationalities from all the countries. So that's one. If you are coming from another countries except China, so you have potential to apply for this scholarship. So the second, applicant should hold a master degree and be under the age of 40. So in these cases, actually, what I should tell is actually, if you are in the last year of your master, for example, this is your last year of your master, you didn't get your master degree, you also can apply for this scholarship. But you should ask to the secretary of your schools proving like letter of statements that you will graduate on June or you will graduate in that year.
Yeah.
So you also have a kind of the opportunities for all of you who still not graduate yet for the master, but you are in the last year and you are sure that you will graduate in that year. So you also have eligibility to apply for this scholarship. Of course, someone who already worked for their master degree, so they have also of course you have this opportunity, you have this chance to apply for this scholarship. And note that the age of you is no more than 40. So this is like have limitations of the age, which is if your age older than 40, so you are not eligible for this scholarship.
Yeah.
So the third is language proficiency requirements. I'm thinking, to me, as we know that for the language proficiency requirement, that it was really that once it's have like general requirements that if you have like an English proficiency test, for example, TOEFL, this TOEFL has ITP and IBT, so those all fine. And the second is IELTS, it's also fine. And this is like two formal proficiency certificates that commonly used. And the first one I want to talk about the qualification score that you need to cover for this for this scholarship. So here is writings that for the TOEFL, this is TOEFL IBT. For TOEFL IBT, no less than 80, and for IELTS is no less than 6. So if you have like 6, I think you are eligible for it. And for your information also, if you have a kind of another English certificate, for example, TOEFL ITP, that also you can also use that certificate. But to my experience, your scores is no more, I mean, more than 500. If you have like the TOEFL ITP more than 500, you also have a chance to apply for this scholarship. For example, also if you also have like another certificate for language, TOEIC, maybe you know TOEIC.
Yeah,
TOEIC also can applying for. You also can provide certificates. But somehow, for example, you are not native speaker, but you are studying in another countries, which is in that school, you also use English. So at the same time, you don't need to provide the English certificate. So in the same way, if that's kind of the top university, I'm thinking you don't need anything. You just mention your university. But if, for example, it's not kind of top university, I'm thinking you also can ask the certificate secretary of your school to give us letter of statements that that's the language, that's English taught is your delivery course during your study. So it also can. And another things, if you have like Chinese, for example, HSK, so it's very good. I mean that I think you also have a kind of the opportunity to get accepted for this scholarship. But here for information, actually for the language proficiency requirement, it's depend on what is the major that you select. So it means that if your major that you select is using English taught, so you should be careful. I mean, you should really aware with the English proficiency certificates. If you major in Chinese taught, so I mean that you also need to be careful with your Chinese certificate. Except if you apply for the Chinese taught and then you get accepted, so somehow you will have like 1 year study for Chinese first before you enroll your study. But to my knowledge, for PFS, for Peiyang Future Scholarship, Scholarship, so they do not provide for 1 Chinese year learning. So means that I'm thinking for this scholarship, be sure that your major, which language that you use for your major.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then what next? We are going to go to the applications materials. I'm thinking that can support by this scholarship. I'm thinking this is just only for informations that as we already explained many times in the beginning, so that this scholarship only for PhD, all PhD that's provided in Tianjin University. So now we are going to go to the application materials. Since that this scholarship is only for applying for PhD, so the first one is scanned copy of the highest diploma. So of course, this is your master degree. So of course, this is your master degree with notarized also. I mean, you should notarize the certificate. You should notarize your certificate, and the important things that the degree should be in English or in Chinese. So for examples that your degree using like your home countries, for example, I am as Indonesian, for example, for Indonesian students, and then the degree using Indonesian language, they need to translate. They need to translate their degree in English, and then they also should notarize for these documents. So the second is the academic transcript. So it's really common, I'm thinking, when we are applying for any scholarship. So I mean the highest degree and academic transcript is the 2 things mandatories that we will face it. So that's this. At the same time, also for academic transcript, actually there was not like requirements how high your score is great or not. There was not much requirement on that, but only if you have a good grade, I'm thinking just like improve your chance opportunity for this scholarship. So just like what I said, for academic transcript, it's also need to translate in English or Chinese if your academic transcript not using both language. And the third is the photocopy of passport. Yes, I mean, it's mandatory. So you should provide your scanned passport in the application. And the fourth is Chinese or English proficiency. This is just like what we have taught before, that for the English proficiency, you can use the formal English certificate like TOEFL, IELTS, and Chinese certificate just like using HSK. So I'm thinking it's a kind of also one of the important qualification. So means that if you have this document, of course you will improve. You will have a chance to get accepted for this scholarship. So somehow I mean that if you do not have it, some people say I don't have like English proficiency, but I'm still going apply for this application. You can, but I mean the opportunity or the chance to get accepted is low. So it means that if you have this document, so you will also upgrade your opportunities. So next is the study of research plans. So the study of research plan actually for the tips or some things, maybe we are going to make it more specific talk in my PowerPoints, but in very general for the research plan is the very general things that this letter or this statement, how you are trying to state it, which is your plans for your research, what you will do during the PhD student, even though somehow the research plans is depend on the supervisor project,
Yeah.
but you still need to write your own research plans based on your mindset in these applications. And the next is the recommendation letter. For the recommendation letter is also really important. You can ask your referee for it who knows you very well. For example, your supervisor in master degree or in associate professor in your university. So it means that to recommendation letter is just like someone who ever have collaboration, who have you have include together for your study or for your research collaborations. So 7, this is something like also good. Somehow you also can get 7 professional acceptance of international student by TJU professor. So it's not mandatory for sure, but I mean that if before the applications you already screens who is the professor that you are interested in, and then you contact him or contact her, and then he or she approve you to be his student or her students, and then after that you can give the document of it. I mean that you can click here to download the template here, and then you can give to him, and then he can give the full information on it. So you also can supplement this acceptance letter of the professor in your application. Of course, if you get this form and you get approval from the professor in TJU before the application, it's also improve your chance to get this scholarship. But it's not like obviously you will get accepted for this scholarship. It's not just only improve or upgrade your chance for this scholarship. But someone who didn't get this, that's also fine. That's also fine. I mean, it was not mandatory for it. And 8 is the photocopy. This is like a foreigner physical examination. Foreigner physical examination, which is it also have their own form. They also have their own forms that need to fill by physician or the doctors in the hospital. You can do it in your country, or if you are in China, or if you are in China, you also can do it in hospital in China.
Yeah.
So they have like the several tests, like general checkup. I mean, like for example, blood and some disease. And 9 is scan of photocopy of visa and transfer certificate from Peiyang University. So this is only if you are in China. I mean that if you are in China, for sure, in your passport, you have a visa. So it means that you have a visa in your passport. So you can scan for that. So, but if you are not in China, so I mean, this is if you are not in China, so we will go to the 10 document is non-criminal record or student performance letter. So it means that if you are in China, you don't need this document for the 10. But if you are not in China, sorry, I want to repeat again. If you are in China, you don't need the non-criminal record. I mean, you only need to provide him scan of the photocopy of your visa enough. But if you are not in China, so you are recommended to provide the non-criminal record from the police. I'm thinking that's also a kind of the comments for materials for the scholarship for sure. And the last one is other documents, which is for the other document here. This is a kind of the forms. This is forms. I mean that like general forms that you need to fill for your informations. I'm thinking it's also important, so we can have a look what is this form. in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is only like the very, very general informations that you should fill for this information, just like your backgrounds, where you study for your bachelor, for your master, and then do you have like a kind of the employment or the working experience, or he also, so means that, and the last one, after you fill the complete information of this form, and then you need to originally originally signs these forms.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's it, Timothy, for like the general general materials that we need to provide. I mean that if you are missing one of the document of it, so it will reduce your opportunity. But if you complete your all of the materials here, at least you have confidence to get accepted for this scholarship. So that's notes. That was important notes that I want to try to share for you. So make sure that you already collected all the materials that are right in here.
Yeah, of course. Kak Hadi, from this all documents of requirements, how is the application process after the submission? Is there any interview or any test maybe to complete after we submit the process?
Okay, that was good questions. So since this scholarship, as I said, that begin on 2020 for sure. I mean, I am the first batch. For the 2020 batch, actually, I didn't get like any interview process. So that's all only the document review. So that's in 2020. But moving to 2021, so means that I heard that there's an interview process. So meaning in the middle of the process of the evaluation, I could say that's maybe during February or March. During February and March, they will release the first I means that the candidate. They will release the candidates who are eligible for this scholarship to join an interview. And then after that they will have like an interview process with international school, and specifically with the some professor in the school that they selected. For example, I apply in School of Pharmaceutical Science and Technology, so in the interview I will have kind of the interview with some professor there. Even they were not specifically the professor that I select, but the process, I mean that they will have like some professor that will give you an interview during that times. So and then the final decisions, so it will release about June or July. At the beginning of July or August. But for information, actually, for as my experience, that's also, even though that the process of applications between, for example, between November until June, so they will release to time the batch. So it means that sometimes they will release the first candidate who get the final acceptance, and then they also will have the second batch or the third batch. So I mean, during the process, they will make three times announcement for the awardee of it.
Yeah, so
this is
for the
additional
updated information, there will be an interview released in 3 batches. So make sure if you're applying to make sure to pay attention to your email or your notices in the application portal for the interview information.
That for sure. I mean that, yeah, but I mean that if, for example, they will update in your application, in your own application accounts, but at the same time, they also will send the formal email to your, the formal invitation or the formal announcement to your email. So yes, keep update on that.
When you already being accepted, what is the sign that we have been accepted formally? Do we receive like a admission notice or any invitation to registration? What is the process at the end of the acceptance?
So means that the first the final process that you will get a formal announcements the formal invitations, the formal acceptance in the emails that you get accepted for this scholarship. So that's one. So after several weeks, at least I mean after 1 month, and then you will get a kind of the formal acceptance letter. Acceptance letters, Chinese and English form, in English and in Chinese forms. And then they also encourage you to give you the registration time of this scholarship, even online or offline. So I'm thinking this was really neat to tell for everyone, because currently we have like online, offline. So I'm thinking this is also important for all type of the scholarship, I'm thinking. But I mean, in case of the Peiyang Future Scholarship, if you are in China, of course, I mean that you have like possibility to attend the offline lecture, to offline university. I'm thinking you can go to Tianjin University directly. But if you are not in China, so I mean the process, it will be online until the university inform you like the formal informations about the offline course.
Yeah. So,
And yep.
regarding the benefits of the scholarship, since we have difference of offline and online study,
Yes.
right now you're studying online. How is the coverage? Is it given or transferred to you, or is it being held by TJU?
That's a good question also. So I almost missing to tell this information, because I'm thinking we should tell everyone about this information. Yes, of course, there were different policy, there were different regulations of the scholarship. Just like in the beginning, I informs all the listeners, all the audience here about the scholarship standards that you will get for it. So if you are in China, and the first one, if you are in China, you will get that full scholarship, including three things. One is the tuition fee. Second is the living allowance. That's about 3,500 a month. And the last one is the accommodation on campus. So you will get that full scholarship if you are in China. But what is the story if you are not in China and you cannot go to China? So I mean, that based on the experience and based on the regulation, the policy that made by the government. So if you are not in China, so they only provide you the tuition fee. So means the living allowance and then the accommodation on campus. I mean that they will not provide since you are not in China. But once you come back to China, they start to give you this all full scholarship. I mean, what I want to say here, they will not like, for example, I study online for 1 year or 2 years, and then I come back on my third year. They will not like cover the 2 years online and give you for one time. That's not. So I mean, they start giving you the living allowance and accommodation in campus since you are in China.
Yeah, I see. So to recap, the online condition, only the tuition fee being covered. And for example, once the border has been opened, then the coverage start, but not accumulated from the past years that we are not covered by the living allowance and the accommodation.
Yes.
And of course, Kahadi, this is from the general requirement. We have known what the requirements that needed. And after the acceptance of our scholarship, are we gonna receive like a visa application, or something that we need to apply for visa? I think for online maybe it's not. Yeah, maybe it's not recommend or not given the visa email for them.
Yes, after you get accepted for this scholarship, the first one is different. I mean, there's different situations between online and offline. So now I wanna tell, if you are not in China, in case you can come back to China, or in case you cannot come back to China, you will get it. So that's, I'm thinking it will be good to tell about this. So after you get formally accepted from the university, so you will get the like admission notice. Yes, you will get the admission notice, which is in this admission notice, actually, you will get in the Chinese form, in the English forms, but it's not printed, but it's only electronical forms. Actually, when you want to try to apply for the visa, in the normal conditions, not in the current situation. So actually, you will get the printed not admissions notice that will be delivered to your address. So means that you can use this admission notice actually as one of the materials to apply the visa in your country. So actually, this is one of the materials that you need to bring to the embassy, Chinese embassy in your country to apply for the visa. But because due to the current conditions, they only, the Tianjin University only sent you the electronic. They didn't send you the printed forms to apply for the visa.
Yeah, I see. So from here, because of the online, I think we only receive admission notice until if it is open, then we already receive the admissions directly to our address.
Yeah. Yes, I think they will send you once they get formal information from the government, especially for the exact times that you can enter the China, and then I'm thinking they will send you the printed forms and you can use it to apply for visa.
I think, Kak Hadi, we have known so much about general requirements and of course your recommendation of the process of the application. I think we're going to the next one where master applicants right now are so much want to know about when they want to apply to PhD is that what is the tips on making study or research proposal? Because it is one of the compulsory requirement for the scholarship as well.
That's all right. Yes. So that let's go to my slide here.
Yeah.
Here I'm thinking we already talked in much details on the original website of the PFS. So I'm thinking I don't need to repeat this kind of the informations again. So now we are going to, what is the step that actually we need to prepare for, and we will get much more confident to be accepted for this scholarship. So the first one here, be note that you prepare all the required documents that are required for this scholarship. So it means you should make a list. You should make list 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, and then you just like checklist if for every documents that you have prepared for that. So do not miss anything. Do not miss anything for one document, because you miss one document, it's also reduce your opportunity to get this scholarship. So but there are some additional things that you need to prepare, that you can be additionally prepared for it, to improve your confidence, to be accepted for PFS scholarship. What is that? So the first one, I will recommend you actually to find the prospective professor. So the first one, as like status, even the acceptance letter from the professor is optional, but I'm thinking it will improve your chance if you have the acceptance letter from the professor. So you can look yourself, what is your research background, what is your research directions, and then after you really know that what you want to do, I want to do A, I want to do B, and then you try starting to find the prospective professor in Tianjin University, which school they are, and which institutions they are, which institution they are. I'm thinking you should starting to find them and approach them by email and show your intention that you are interested in their research, that you have like interest on their projects. So that's one. So it means you are trying to approach them by email. Somehow some professor will respond to you in very short times. Somehow the professor will respond to you with quite a longer times. But somehow the professor also will not respond to you. So that's some things that you should know, that if you, that you should move on if the professor that you want didn't give you any response. So you should try to find another professor.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah, everyone, I think you have got the general picture is that other than the application checklist that you have to fulfill everything. And of course, you have to have a idea to strengthen your own application by having your research plan and applications, research directions clear so that when you are approaching the professors from Tianjin University, of course, of the school that you have your preference, you can get a strong application, at least the professor can help you to get your acceptance letter and to understand that you are a potential student for this scholarship. And of course, we are curious, Kahadi, when you mentioned that the difference between CSC and PFS, I think we're curious, why did you decided to apply for the PFS? Yeah, why not you just continue your CSC because you have got from your master's? Yeah, why PFS? Why is it so special?
It's to be honest, because I should tell the truth for it. Why PFS?
Yeah.
I think I have no so strong reasons why PFS, because I apply for this scholarship is just like randomly applied. I mean that I just I know this information, so I'm thinking it's also like have another chance for me to apply for this scholarship.
Yeah.
But why for not CSC? I should say that for my master, I already got the CSC actually for 3 years. I mean that at the same times, actually in that year, I mean before I graduate from my master, I also apply for CSC. So it means that time I apply for both scholarships, CSC and this PFS. But I mean that was like in different institutions. I mean PFS in Tianjin University, but for my CSC was not in Tianjin University, but like in another institutions. But unluckily that I didn't get offer for CSC, but I got offer for PFS. So that's why I'm in PFS.
Yes, okay.
That was a simple.
Yeah, of course, it is a great admission journey for you to apply for Tianjin University. And of course, for this PhD life, as you're studying online, what kind of new experience you have? How PhD right now affect your life, of course, your own study progress?
Okay. Before I respond for that for that good question. So the next is like what I want to say that actually PFS and CSC was not too much different. I mean for PhD, I mean that the scholarship stipends. I mean if you are in China, there was not too much different effect for a number for the amount of the scholarship. I'm thinking you get accepted for PFS or you get accepted for CSC in Tianjin University. I'm thinking when we are looking from our eyes, it was not too much different on it. So, and let's moving to the next questions, just like how the PhD life like affecting the current study and how, especially for the current condition, especially this is for online applicants. I'm thinking for the for the applicant who are not in China, it will be raised a question when we back, and then how we can get the scholarship. It's common. I mean, I should like internally understand about the situation. I mean that I'm thinking I should tell about my experience on it before I'm giving a kind of the opinion. I mean, a kind of the opinion. I'm thinking I should tell about my self experience on it. Yes, I should say that it was really difficult situations since you are PhD students and you are doing a research. I mean, when the wet lab experiment are required for your project, for example, I'm thinking you will be overthinking on it. You will be insecure somehow, insecure on this situation. You will have like a raised question, can I graduate? That will have like a lot of raising of questions. I mean, for you, especially for PhD student, just like what I mentioned, that's previous parameters. So I mean that I would like to in my experience, just like getting a professor. I'm thinking getting professor in this situation was really important for me, and luckily that I got one professor which is really cooperative. I mean, really cooperative. He understand about the situation. And then he also can give me a lot of option on the projects that maybe can remotely doing from here. Since for example, I want to give another example, the real example of my experience. Since I was concerned on drug discovery, for example, and then I can use an approach, for example, bioinformatics, like molecular docking and molecular dynamic, and some things that actually I can do that remotely from here. So I means that if I have kind of this publication, even even I'm starting that project in my home country, I still have ability actually to graduate on time. So means that's depend on your project, it's depend on your professor. Even though, for example, your project are required for the wet lab experiments, but you are in your home countries. But for example, your professor give you allowance for you to set up your project in your home countries. You just go to some institution or some university in your countries, and maybe your professor will give a funding, because the problem, I mean that because the problem I'm thinking about for international student mindset and for the professor mindset. I can feel that both I'm thinking. So it means that somehow the international student thinking, if they want to try to set up the research in their home countries, but they worry, about funding. They worry about funding. It's much different if you are doing this in China, for example.
Yeah.
If you are doing this in China, you don't need to think about this, because all of things are provided in lab already. But if you are doing this is in your home countries, for example, in some universities on your countries, you will think about this, because you need to buy for materials, you need to buy for everything's there. How about the funding? Did I need to cover by ourselves? We didn't get any stipend though. So it means that when I'm thinking, if you are talking properly to your professor and your professor like approve for this, so it will be good. They also give you a funding, but so that in the current situation, I'm thinking the professor position, your professor was really determined for your current job. I could say that is not only depend on yourself. Depend on your in this situation, not depend on yourself, but maybe it depend on yourself. You have a chance for that, but the percentage is very low. But in this situation, that the professor cooperation was really helpful for you in these situations.
Yeah, I think it's already a good condition where you're studying online, but your project can actually make you able to access your project remotely. And I think we all hope we have official and formal information that we can come back to China for everyone's benefit. Every one of the students right now thinking about going back to China, and I think that's normal for all of us. Yeah, I think that's already a good condition for you, Kahadi, on this condition, of course. I think we have reached the end of our Talks of Peiyang Future Scholarship. And of course, for Kahadi, is there anything that you want to add for the end of this video?
Okay, in the end of the things, just like what I promised you in the beginning, especially how you can make a research plans or the statement of the purpose, or it's same also with the motivation letters in the applications that required for this scholarship, which is the word is not limit than 800 words. So I would like give you what you should write in that letter. So in that letter, actually containing first you should give like the very brief introduction about yourself. What's your name, where you graduate, what is the research that you focus on. So what and then why you want to study for PhD. So you should write that in the first paragraph. And this in the second paragraph, you also need to write about your previous research. What is your previous research, what you are focused on, what is the experience that you did in your master degree. You should briefly write for that. And maybe you also have like academic achievement. You have publication on that. You also should write for that. And the third paragraph, you should write what is your plan after you are describing about your research. Your research backgrounds, what you focus on, the very specific technique skill that you know. And then the third paragraph, you should write your research plans. What your plans? What is the general plans that you have, and what is the specific goals? What is the specific goals that you want to try to achieve, and what is the benefit? What is the benefit for that project? And the last one, I'm thinking, you should also, the very important things, why your motivations, why you want to do this project, and after graduate, what you will do. That was like comprehensive from the background, what you will do, and after you graduate, what you will do. So means that this is a kind of the structure, the historical structure of the statement of purpose of the motivation letter, or here we also can say the research plans of your study. So I'm thinking this is the points that you need to really careful when you build the research plans or statement of purpose or motivation letters.
Yes, that's a great advice, of course, for you out there. The master student right now wants to apply to PhD. This is the one of the sample structure that you can make. Let's say you have no idea about your research plan of how you structure your research, starting from your background and how do you present yourself that you are strong research potentials for the PhD scholarship. And I think we have seen here, Kahadi, your great pictures, experiences when you are studying. Is this for your master studies or PhD in the photos?
Of course, this is for my master study. Yes, for my master study. So means that you will get kind of the lot of experience. Not only for studying, but you will have like experience for traveling around the city, for example, around Tianjin, around China. So you also will get that chance if once you get a chance to come back to China. So that's it. So I'm thinking that's the brief sharing for today's.
Yeah.
So
okay, everyone, that is all our discussion and of course experience sharing of applying to Peiyang Future Scholar Scholarship. And of course, everyone, I recommend you to apply to Tianjin University because of the strong research potential. And of course, the PF scholarship is perfectly suited for you that wants to apply to PhD. And of course, special thank you to our special guest today, Kahadi, also a current PhD student. If you are curious about Kahadi more, you can see the Instagram profile in the link in the description. And of course, the research profile. Of course, you want to see the research interest and the progress of Kahadi studying in Tianjin University. And of course, everyone, if you're curious for more or any other question or suggestions that you want me to make content, you can put it in the comments below and stay tuned for the next episode of Tianjin University Ambassador Talks. And yeah, see you in the next episode. Hope we all have a good day. Bye-bye, everyone.
bye. Thank you.